Skillz generated a 52% year-over-year revenue growth and a 53% year-over-year paid monthly active user growth. That's why Kathy Wood loves Skillz. That's it. Video's done. No, I'm just playing. Kind of. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Right now, Skillz is the biggest red mark in my portfolio right now. But I'm not giving up. And I'm continuing to buy the dip. And in this video, I'm gonna show you why not only I, but also Kathy Wood and ARK Invest also stay heavily invested in Skillz. For reference, ARK's ARK K fund was buying into Skillz pretty heavily back when the price was in the 20s and 30s, and they now hold more than 13 million shares for a total value of more than $186 million. Skillz makes up 0.83% of their total ARK K portfolio and is the 36th largest position out of all 47 of their holdings. So those of you who are familiar with ARK know that they're very, focused on changing the world in the very, very long term. And the fact that the stock is in their ARK K portfolio should give you an idea. This is about disruption. This is about the long game. So in today's video, first, we're going to take a look at who Skillz is. Then second, we'll take a look at the recent quarter results and dive into a deeper look at how they're positioning themselves for that disruption going forward. And then finally, third, I'll share a bit more about my thoughts on Skillz right now as an investment option when we're taking a deeper look at the numbers. If you're new here, welcome to Benevolent Investors. My name's Trey McKee, and my goal with this channel is to help you get more from your investments so you can give more to those in need. Skillz initially excited investors at their launch in early 2020 with the promise of providing a gaming platform where millions of gamers with a slight appetite for competition can easily join low commitment tournaments and make quick cash after just a few games. While offering not only fun and addicting games that appeal to a broad audience, Skillz also successfully hit clients in their 50s and 60s and 70s, probably the target audience that most gaming companies haven't really hit yet. Armed with higher average disposable incomes than most other age groups, this audience has helped power Skillz' growth. It launched at $10 a share, and kind of surprisingly, within a few months, it was into the 40s. It's come back down into the 12s, where it now sits in a dark corner of shame and depression and despair. In fact, this week, it's continuing to see even more declines, and could potentially hit an all-time low. So what's the deal, and why are people selling off so hard? In their most recent earnings report, it's kind of a mixed bag. If you're looking at the bottom line, people were just super disappointed. But like pretty much everything else ARK K invests in, they're investing for the long term. They're investing for disruption. And when you're looking at disruptors, you have to expect like heavy reinvestment, leading to big quarterly negatives, which we see here with Skillz. But on the flip side, we are seeing growing revenues and a growing client base, which is, hope for something coming in the future. But before I get into the numbers, it's super duper important to remember what kind of environment Skillz started in. In April of 2020, lockdowns were already, I think, in the process of rolling out, or just about to roll out. Government printing presses were just about to start raining cash down on the populace. So people looking for something new and entertaining, stuck at home with all of this free cash, really helped to get Skillz' growth ball rolling. And now things are opening back up and people are kind of trying to start returning to normal life, though it's kind of debatable whether or not this will continue with the way the Delta strain is kind of impacting things in the coming months. And so you would expect to see Skillz showing year-over-year decreases in terms of growth and maybe even revenues, but we're not seeing that. Revenues grew 52% year over year to 89.5 million, and gross profit grew 52% year over year to 85.1 million on the back of a 95% gross margin. 2020's second quarter had a similar gross margin too, just for your reference. Also, gross marketplace volume grew 47% over the prior year, despite the economy opening back up. So that's basically the calculation. If you took all of the money people have in their accounts on the platform that they use to go into tournaments or, earnings that they got from tournaments. So that's continuing to grow. I should also mention that Andrew Paradise, the company's CEO, likes to keep a little cash on hand, not unlike your boy here. And so Skillz finished the second quarter with no debt on the balance sheet and almost $700 million of cash. But that's about the end of the rainbow when we're looking at the numbers. The net loss increased to $79.6 million compared to only $20 million in the prior year. And we'll get into a lot of where that expense came from in a minute. Adjusted EBITDA was down 28.3 million to negative 31 million. Take a look at this chart they provided in their supplemental info. While the number of monthly active users has gone down year over year from 2.6 million to 2.4 million, the average revenue per user jumped massively from $7.69 to $12.46. We also see the number of paying monthly active users jumping by more than half from 0.3 million to 0.46 million, and that's really where the rubber meets the road for Skillz, so that's a good sign. So it seems the number of non-paying users is decreasing, while the number of users who are interested in playing games for cash is growing. The average revenue per paying user dropped slightly from $64.99 to $64.36, which I feel is pretty negligible considering all of the chaos the world is in right now. In the second quarter, we saw that 81% of the active users were not paying users. So it'll be crucial for Skillz to continue upping their game to figure out how to get people to switch over to being paying users. And one big way they might be able to do that, I'm going to mention here in a minute. So when you're scrolling through HyperCharts, using the link down in the description for your convenience, and you see ballooning negative operating income quarter after quarter, or you scroll down to the net income and you see that that's getting worse and worse every quarter, and you see the stock price getting worse and worse every single day ever, what do? Well, you gotta ask, Torei sensei, nande kono yona kabu ni toshi suzukeru no? I'm glad you asked, Trey-san. Let me tell you about 4 exciting bits of news that are about to change the game, lol, for Skillz. Number 1 is their strategic investment in a little German company called Exit Games. So up until now, one of the reasons more hardcore gamers haven't been adopting Skillz games at such a rapid pace is that a lot of the games are a bit more casual and they're turn-based. Check out my video linked up here if you want to see me, kind of playing around with some of the games and see how the whole system works. Think mostly simple action games or puzzle games. Now, Exit Games, who also partners with huge industry leaders like Square Enix, EA, and Ubisoft, is really well known for running some of the world's most advanced multiplayer servers. This deal gives Skillz exclusive partnership rights and perpetual access to these servers, which will in turn allow Skillz to begin finally offering some real-time, simultaneous multiplayer games. They'll soon be offering more sports games, racing games, fighting games, and first-person shooting games as well, including Battle Royale style games, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see adoption skyrocket as a result. Imagine a world-famous, ultra-popular multi-platform game like Fortnite, who's seen active users top 15 million concurrent in one event, taking place on Skillz with cash involved. When you start to think about some of the synergies that are possible, with the amount of tournament money being captured, the numbers start to boggle the mind and it gets really exciting. Point number 2 is the ARK acquisition. One of Skillz' most complex challenges is acquiring new users, especially paying ones. The statement of operations here shows that this is probably their most significant ongoing expense. And this HyperChart shows another depiction, and it's pretty frightening, with sales and marketing in the yellow dwarfing G&A in the green and R&D in the red. This new ARK acquisition is one big step in the right direction to address those ongoing costs. For a cute $150 million, which works out to like 5 months of revenues, for those keeping track, Skillz put together the acquisition with a mix of cash and stock, and it's expected to close in the 3rd quarter. Since Skillz pays so many different advertising agencies to get the word out, they figured why not buy one for themselves? And that's what ARK does, and they sound pretty good at it, boasting industry-leading returns on investment for their clients. Reaching 465 million monthly customers and powered by data science and algorithmic decision-making, we just might start to see the cost of acquiring customers plummet. By moving a lot of their user acquisition and marketing spend to ARK now, not only will they save on marketing spend, but they can also leverage those savings to go around to the other people they advertise with and say, hey, we're only paying ARK this much, you need to lower your prices. And aggressive negotiations like that could even further lower their marketing spend. Secondly, on ARK, combining Skillz' current rich first-party user data with ARK's data, ARK should now be able to acquire customers more effectively and efficiently, saving even more money. Check it out here, Skillz is now starting to apply user-specific discounts That should also lower UA costs and boost the number of paying monthly active users. They used to use a team of analysts to figure out, who would be the right person to target with this offer to maximize future potential revenues from this person. But from now on, the algorithms are going to do it all. And this could potentially bring in multiplicatively more revenues for the company going forward. Number 3 is the NFL deal. In partnership with the NFL, Skillz has been working on putting together a game, or potentially even multiple games, targeting the NFL's hundreds of millions of fans. They've already narrowed the pool of finalist games down to 14, and they're hoping to get the ball rolling before the season starts in 2022, I believe. If this works out, it could be hitting a massive new market cohort that spans a broad range of age groups. And point number 4 is another new partnership with Play Mechanics. Up until now, Skillz has typically worked with developers who want to make games and offer those games exclusively into Skillz ecosystem. And this works out really neat, not only for the developer, but also for Skillz. Because when you're a developer making games and you go to Apple's App Store or whatever, it's near impossible to stand out amongst tens of thousands of different games. But on Skillz platform, Skillz curates it. And if you can make it through their selection process and you're one of the Skillz games, you're much more likely to make money, making you want to make more games for the Skillz platform, and also making you more money, and also making Skillz more money, and also making it easier for Skillz to get even more users. So it ends up being this like infinity money glitch going on. But in this case, it wasn't a developer who was just kind of like a small indie guy. Play Mechanics, who's been making arcade games for like 20 years now, actually approached Skillz to offer their big buck hunter marksman game. I'm going to show some of the gameplay on the screen for those interested, but if you're uncomfortable with seeing adorable animals losing their lives in moderate resolution, close your eyes for a second. So there's been like 11 different iterations in the Big Buck series spanning a couple of decades, so it obviously has a loyal following. With them coming to Skillz to offer their game onto the platform, we can see that Skillz' influence in the market is improving, but we can also expect this to bring even more users into the platform. This is one of the more graphically demanding games for offer on Skillz, which when combined with some of the big changes mentioned earlier, could really bring a new image to Skillz, pulling it away from basic puzzle games that only appeal to a certain portion of the gaming world. So what's the verdict on Skillz going forward? Unsurprisingly, this stock isn't for those looking for a conservative and safe play. The lack of debt and promising prospects for the future, with all the stuff I mentioned earlier, in my mind, kind of make up for the scary looking net losses and negative EPS for the time being. When companies are showing such negative earnings and, depending on your interpretation, unimpressive growth statistics, it's super easy for the stock to get beaten down. And I think the stock is probably near a bottom if it hasn't already hit it. With this trifecta of the ARK acquisition potentially boosting advertising efficiency and lowering costs, and the Exit Games investment allowing a whole new library of games, and the other new partnerships we mentioned, I think we're about to see the company's offerings, reach, and profitability make some really big moves in the right direction. I know Kathy's in it for the long haul, and so am I. The major costs associated with the ARK and Exit deals have also bogged down the figures for this quarter, so it'll be interesting to see how those pay off in the long haul. Strangely, when we look at the street's estimates for the stock price, we see a low of $13, which already gives us an upside of like 6%. But on the high end, we see estimates of $25. The stock's known for making really rash and kind of like sudden, surprising moves occasionally, so keep an eye on it. Now, I'm not foolish enough to tell you, it's going to hit a certain price within the next month or something like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't go much lower than this. Like I said at the beginning, I've bought the dip a few times, probably a few times too many so far, but I'm thinking actually of adding some call options with longer time horizons at this current price. Currently, Skillz makes up about 2% of my portfolio, just so you have a little bit of perspective. But if you're looking to learn more about Skillz, by learning more about what their offerings are and like what makes their system so addicting and so like easy to just keep playing and putting money into, check out my video right here. Love you guys and stay generous.